Hello everyone, hello and welcome to The Big Debate, coming to you live on SABC 2, SABC News Channel 404 and SAFM. We're also live on SABC News, YouTube and Facebook. I'm Ridi Tlabi. Now if you're watching us now, you're one of the lucky ones that has electricity today. Congratulations. Does anybody still remember the founding values of our democracy? Human dignity, equality, non-sexism. Have these become too old and boring to excite us, especially during elections? Because it seems like political parties will do almost anything to secure our votes, from hosting rallies, buying T-shirts and paying volunteers in food parcels. Today, they will screech down the gravel road in a convoy of Range Rovers with tinted windows. They will seduce us with slay queens. They will record songs with our favorite musicians. Are politicians out of ideas on how to bring us to the polls? Have they sacrificed their values in an effort to seem cool? What do our politicians really stand for? Well, to discuss this, I'm joined by Njabulo Nzuza, Secretary General of the ANC Youth League, Fana Mukwena, EFF Member of Parliament and actor, Makashule Ghana of the Democratic Alliance, Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches, and Nomboniso Gasa, researcher in culture and gender. We also have marketing specialist Sihle Polani, artist Ayanda Mabulu, singer Ringo Madlingozi, celebrities including Khanyi Mbau, and activists, students and scholars. Welcome to all of you. So, we invite you at home to post your comments online and also vote in our poll. Our question is, do you believe there are politicians you can vote for who have the vision and the values to take South Africa forward? The number to dial is *134 *707#. Or visit bigdebate.live/vote. The phone call is free. Your posts will appear on the screen and we'll get the poll results at the end of the show. But before we start our debate, take a look at this.
Nelson Mandela's Rainbow Nation captured South Africa's imagination. We longed for unity, equality, and non-racialism. 25 years later, our dreams have changed. Our screens are filled with images of lavish lifestyles. We all want in on the action. Doromongi is a social influencer, Instagram sensation, slay queen, and a Sandton-based image consultant.
Slay queen is a girl who keeps up with the trend, goes to every parties that are nice, where they are proper people, prominent people.
Slay queen culture is now a key feature at political rallies as young women seek a better life.
I come from Spreadview. We didn't really have parks, the roads were bad. But now, when you go there, things are better. There's a beautiful park there now, which is great.
The ANC's #Grow South Africa election campaign sparked controversy on social media for objectifying women.
Listen, the clips, I do feel you can't listen to the message if you're a man. You're just going to look at what she's doing there. They're showing her lips, her eyes when they move, her smile. This thing is sexual, guys. No.
The ANC is insulting to women. Their campaign with a pretty young girl said nothing.
They are supermodels and they've got a following. And when they express social consciousness, that's what we want.
ANC campaign director Fikile Mbalula defends the campaign. He says getting young people interested in politics is good for our democracy.
Now, to have a young woman who's very conscious about what is happening around her, doesn't society want young people who think like that?
Innocentia Murulong has made a business out of slay queens. She sees the ANC's use of a model in their campaign as an opportunity.
It can be money for us promoters if they try to approach us that, okay, here's a product, please market it. We are very good at that. We can make people vote for whichever party. As a promoter, if they pay good, then we can make it sell.
The ANC is not the only party to woo us with objects of desire. The DA has been playing catch-up. The DA also tried some shock tactics to grab our attention, but when it posted the names of the Life Isidimeni and Marikana victims on huge billboards, the families felt used. The billboards were ripped down. The EFF's overalls and makarapas are meant to tell us that they stand for the workers. And their disruption of parliament make them look like rebels against the system. But critics argue that the designer labels they wear mean their commitment to the working class is not to be believed. Supporters defend their commander-in-chief.
We appreciate that he has a personal life and a political life. Yeah. I do not think the media should distract us. We're more interested in Malema's politics. And of course, these are intimate things as a revolution that we do need to discuss, whether or not you agree with it.
The makarapas and the red overalls and the domestic workers' uniform cannot just be a gimmick. It's fine if you are middle class. It's fine if you love finer things. It's better if there is no corruption that makes you acquire those things. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But do not appropriate the struggles of the working class when you don't mean it.
All right, we've already received 10,000 votes in our poll, and this is how things are looking. 55% of you said no, there's nobody to vote for, or you're not sure who to vote for. Only 45% said yes, there is someone with the values to vote for in the elections. So what do you guys in the audience actually think? Who says there is someone to vote for? You're here. Okay, we're happy for you. We're happy for you. All right. Remember, we're here to debate. We're here to debate. Now, we want to turn the tables in this big debate and give our audience the first word. So let's take an audience question right now. Do you have an audience question? Are you ready? Let's start the program. Nhlakanipho, Bembe, go ahead, please.
Yes. My question is very simple. Does the failure of the ANC failure to prosecute and to call ministers to account who have been implicated in corruption speak volume of virtue and goodwill on their behalf? Thank you.
ANC, that is a question for you.
Thank you very much. What sets the ANC apart is that it is willing to act, and it has displayed its ability to act and to find facts where there are issues of corruption.
Who have you acted against as the ANC? Look at your list. It's caused controversy.
Here. Yeah? There are law structures that are set up. I do not want to mention names. Currently, we talk about...
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Currently, there were issues raised around the issue of the state capture. It was the ANC that established...
You were forced into that situation by a court process. Let's be factual.
That established that particular
structure.
After
being forced to do so.
As the ANC, we also have what we call as the Integrity Commission, which deals with these issues. What sets us apart is that we do not, when one of our own is alleged to have been corrupt, call a press briefing, defend that person. We rather say, please step away and allow for the process to cleanse yourself.
I'll challenge you on that a little later on. Thank you very much. We have another question. We have another question. I'll challenge you on that in a second, but we have another question. Cindy, you have a question for our panelists.
Is the EFF practicing what they preach as they wear their overalls, but as soon as they're off duty, they wear the Gucci labels?
EFF? Let's see. Are you wearing Gucci? Are you wearing Gucci? No. Okay.
I don't even know what it's called. What I'm wearing today. Look,
let him answer.
We said it from the onset that the overalls that we wear in Parliament are symbolic. They're symbolic to the working culture of the people that we represent, who are the majority of the people. So, what you wear after work, really, it's your own business.
Yes, finish your point.
It's an issue of preference. You know, I prefer what I'm wearing today.
Gucci.
There are people, I don't wear Gucci. Other people who are here, they don't wear Gucci. There are people who like Gucci. There are people who like other labels. There are people who don't like labels.
So you don't see that there's a conflict between what you stand for and what you do?
Because we stand for people who are on the ground, who are workers, who wear overalls.
Norma?
I have a question from our blue wave as a black woman. The DA was quick to use the black people's pain on their billboard. What have they done for the struggle of the people of Marikana?
DA.
So, thanks very much for the question.
Okay, let him answer.
Thanks very much for the question. So one of the things that we have done, especially for the people of Marikana in Parliament, because we're driving this in Parliament, and I was a member then, is to ensure that the commission that was to investigate what happened there is established. Because you need to accept that as a party that's in opposition, all we had to do was to push government, and we've been pushing government also to ensure that there's money compensation that's paid to the victims of Marikana. So that's something that we've been doing.
In fact, are you actually walking the talk as the Democratic Alliance? We woke up to news, front pages of the Sunday Times this morning, that your own list is chaotic. You're not walking the talk. There's Diane Kolabana, who's been accused of xenophobia and racism. She's on the list. And then there's another member in Ekurhuleni who has accused another one of sexual harassment. She says she's not being heard, number one. She's been excluded from the list, and the person against whom she's complaining is on the list. So how different are you?
Thanks, Reddy. We are actually walking the talk. You know, I think we are one of the parties that have a sexual harassment policy, and the issue of Diane, it's before the Equality Court. And as it has been referred...
So why is she on the list? That's the point, that somebody who's been accused should not be on the list.
No. Really, the matter is before the Equality Court.
No. What's the DA? No, it's not the same thing.
No.
Here's
the thing. The person who referred the matter to the Equality Court is actually a DA manager of operations in Parliament.
But I'm asking,
so it's
why
not someone
is she
else
on the list?
You see, this is what we do, Reddy. When someone is accused, we don't wait for any party or any member of the public to tell us what to do. We act.
You just put them on the list while you take them to court.
We act as soon as the allegations are put before us.
Like the ANC? Okay.
No, not like the
Bishop,
ANC. No,
Bishop,
not like the ANC.
Let's talk about what we've just heard. What do you make of what we've just... Have any of these questions being answered satisfactorily?
No, not really. But then there was a politician who said politicians are okay to lie.
Yeah.
That was the premier of Mpumalanga at some point. But I think that in all fairness, politicians do what they do in order to get votes. The truth can always be worked out later. I think that's really the way they always do these things. I think that the most important thing is that for society to actually set the values that they demand, not the politicians, so the politicians respond. That is a demand-driven political process where the people say, we want ABC, and let the politicians say in their manifesto how they're going to deliver on that.
That's a very powerful one, and it reminds me of this cartoon by Zapiro. Let's just take a look, because how the public has responded to the ANC list is like this. Look at that.
It's a crime scene.
Let's talk about this from a values point of view. What are these guys saying?
Well, I mean, look, I think that if you listen to the DA, if you look at how the ANC has been handling some of very serious issues that have come up around sexual harassment, around sexual assault, the rape culture within the ANC, and even within other parties. We've seen EFF, for example, with the Karima Brown matter, where people who purport to be supporters of EFF have threatened her with rape and sexual assault. And you find that the EFF leadership has not come out and say, you cannot claim to support us if you say this is not in our name. None of these political parties, the ANC we saw during the time of Jacob Zuma, we see now even with Pulema Benlem, that the ANC has not been able to distance itself and say not in our name. Mr. Ghana says the matter is before the Equality Court. Politicians tend to confuse the criminal justice system process with the internal political party process. There is no reason why if DA, for example, has a sexual harassment policy, there's no reason why that sexual harassment policy is not clear on what should happen. On what should happen, and this is what I refer to as rape culture. Rape culture is not about the actual individual incident between two people. It's about an environment that is created. And we see this in the ANC, for example. Ms. Duarte said the ANC needs to have, is appealing to South Africans to help them with sexual harassment policy. That means that sexual assault, sexual violence is not at the center of the political discourse.
In fact, in the 90s, you worked with the ANC in developing a policy. So now in 2019,
when our office closed, in fact, we had a very solid, but it shows
that thought. Have our politicians ditched their values to gain votes? Is popularity the cool factor more important than equality and human dignity? Stay with us.
The redistribution of once profitable farmland is dominated by corrupt dealings.
The problem with land reform is it's the state who's stealing people's land, and it's the state who is diverting the budget that was meant to be used for land reform to partners that provide kickbacks.
As elections approach, we ask what this corruption is costing our country and whether it can be curtailed. Watch Special Assignment on Sunday night at 9:30.
In my time, I've truly seen it all firsthand. Angizwanga ngizibonele ngalawam amehlo. Going through my photographs and reflecting on my memory box really brings back many life experiences that are bittersweet and humbling. In this, my homeland, I've entertained tourists and offshore traders. I've evolved from dealing with the battering system to trading foreign exchange. I've traveled to the ends of the world and tasted a diversity of culinary palates. To outsiders, I have lived alongside wild animals, tamed some, and collected livestock as wealth. So my memory box is overflowing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bragging, but in fact, I'm breaking and hurting deep down inside of this heart of mine. Why? What for? I hear you ask yourself, my fellow Africans, friends and family. The images I have of me are those of the point of view of my onlooker, not those of myself, the subject at hand. I'm choking and suffocating at the chalice those anthropologists and filmmakers tie around me as some sort of grand name tag. Stories have been made and told of me, not of my own words. Films and graphic images have entertained millions of audiences at my expense.
Get the facts first.
In 1994, ek dink was ons almal was ook baie excited geweest.
For South Africa, art was never a good thing.
From a footballing point of view, there was never a separation.
Get to the truth.
There's still some serious issues in South Africa.
Maar ek dink die regering kan regtig waar probeer om harder te werk om
ke apartheid in Sutlile ke le ke swa ke batho ba rena ba democracy batho ba batsho e se makgowa.
See what it all really means.
Ek is geel want dit is die kleur in die verkeerslig wat vir jou sê wees versigtig.
I still give South Africa red.
We are somewhere in between.
We're giving our democracy a green for sure. We're very happy.
Democracy Gauge, weekdays at 5:30 on SABC News, Channel 404.
Welcome back to the big debate, coming to you live from Joburg. We're on SABC2, SABC News, Channel 404, SAFM and YouTube. Eskom allowing. We're discussing popular culture and political values. Scores of senior leaders are accused of sexual misconduct, even rape. Many have evidence of corruption hanging over their heads. There's a feeling that for some leaders, standing in elections is about fame and fortune, not creating a better life for all. Surely we can do better. Trevangwani, what do you say?
Well, my question is, how does voting give the people power? Because we have voted 5-6 times, and the people still continue to suffer. I think that the problem is that all the political parties, including the left ones, are busy playing the bourgeois democracy game. What we need in South Africa, parties, is a government which will help us get back the wealth from the colonizer, from the exploiter, from the capitalists. I think we should all unite and have a revolution.
Sihle, you are a social commentator, you are a professional public relations practitioner, and also an author. Congratulations, by the way. I know you engage very much with our society. What do you make of this? Can we see the values that will take South Africa forward amongst some of the representatives here?
I think the first thing is to understand the concept of values, because, you know, it's a word that we all throw around, but what does it actually mean? And it's about breaking it down to its very basic component around what is it that's important to us as a collective community. And do we see that reflected in what political parties are advancing, what they're prioritizing, and what they're actually doing on the ground? I mean, there's a lot of conversation that you hear all around South Africa where we are concerned about gender-based violence and how that's not getting the attention that it deserves. We're concerned, obviously, about, you know, economic inclusion for Black South Africans. We're concerned about the land. But you're not seeing that actually starting to take the center stage in terms of the conversations that are happening. If you look at the ANC, for instance, as our governing party, I mean, President Cyril Ramaphosa had a whole summit on gender-based violence. He's had 2 people accused of rape within the ANC, and he has said nothing. How is it possible that you can say that you want to be an ally and an advocate to protect women in this country, and yet you're nowhere to be seen when the organization that you're the president of has 2 prominent people within that organization that have been accused of something so serious, and you know you're not visible at all? So what are the values that the ANC is actually peddling? What do you want us to believe and buy into if you're not walking the talk?
In fact, Penyo, where are you seated? Penyo, you've got a question about that. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
So my question sort of touches on what she's speaking about, and it is, why is it though that even though the ANC has publicly spoken out in statements after statements saying that they're against gender-based harm, that they continue, one, they just recently, only now released a gender policy, and then secondly, why do they continue to protect those individuals and members in their party that are found to be guilty of such crimes? Thank you.
Let me make this thing very clear. When Pule Mabe was accused, he had to step away to give space for a free and fair questioning and the process to be set in. That was a process that was additional to an option of actually going to a criminal court. When the issue of Zizi came out, we also said as the ANC, Zizi must step away from his duties. That is an ANC that is actually acting. The ANC has for over a period of time championed gender struggles. In fact, we championed them.
Let him finish your thought, let him finish, you'll challenge him in a moment. Finish your thought.
I will cite an example.
Let him finish.
The ANC supported same-sex marriages when it was not popular. The ANC introduced the 50-50 gender parity when it was not fashionable. It has actually been a pioneer of women's struggles. What we need to deal with is how do we act against those within the organization.
So Nomboniso there, hold on. Nomboniso, why are you not satisfied? They've got 50-50, they've got a gender policy, apparently first time I've just heard of it. They legalized same-sex marriages when it was not fashionable. Why are we not satisfied?
Look, I think first and foremost, related to what she was saying, I think we need to look at foundational values here. So what we are doing is to cherry pick some of the things that have happened, which have not only happened because of the ANC incidentally, but because of society itself. We need to change the zeitgeist in the society. The ANC needs to accept the fact that you have not been leading in a material sense, particularly on issues of sexual violence and sexual assault. I think it's also important to actually revisit the conversation in your own party. Right now, as we speak, Pule Mabe is changing the tune about what has happened. He says that he has taken time off because he's too stressed. And that, I'm raising this not to pick on Pule Mabe necessarily, but because that's what happens in a society and in institutions that allow rape culture, that the perpetrators or people who are accused of being perpetrators project themselves as victims. A fundamental question that goes to the foundational values, not just of the ANC, of DA, of EFF and all that. Why is it that politicians think that they can commit sexual abuse, that they can commit violent masculinities, and that they can get away with it? And that is where the we have not made it unacceptable to be. Instead, we make those people who are victims of sexual assault to be the ones whose careers are going to be compromised.
Let's leave this segment on this note. We'll pick up in just a moment. When we come back, we hear from Ringo Madlingozi, Kanyimbawu and Ayanda Mabulu, and we hear how you are voting at home. Don't go anywhere, and don't forget to vote.
Many times from female entrepreneurs that they aren't taken seriously, and Future Females is a worldwide network of women.
So we're creating a platform where these women come and they collaborate and they meet each other.
Have the Civil Aviation Authority announced when they'll be making some announcement with regard to findings?
The Chief Executive Officer of Ethiopian Airlines, he said they do not even know the magnitude of the situation.
Bring us up to speed with regard to the latest developments.
We now know there was a football official, there was a journalist, there were university professors.
Koko said his hands are clean and his detractors have ulterior motives.
South Africans have been sold a dummy that Machela Koko had conflict of interest.
Our election website here on SABC is now live.
Tandega, her weird family and cray-cray friends bring you another cheeky season.
Everything new, brand new. When? Into some girl. Tandega benkuluma noma ziphuthe efonini uthi ucela space bag. Ithembe mem, ha ke tshepe motho. Awe, nka mpa ka tshepa lejwe. Yini? Siza ukufunda la esikoleni, are you aware?
Mugele. Catch Tandega's Diary Mondays at 7:30 only on SABC1 Mzansi for sure.
Years go by and new faces are born. New villains and new drama queens. We look back and reflect on the memories that serve us. A tight bond molding us together, creating stories that will last forever. Make your evenings memorable. Weekdays on SABC1, Mzansi for sure.
The anguish, the weight and the frustration as family members of the ill-fated flight ET302 seek answers.
Otherwise, if we will not find, the person will stay missing to the rest of their life.
Watch African Perspective as we bring you exclusive stories on those affected from Kenya.
We understand in total at least 22 people died in that crash who worked for the United Nations. 6 of them worked for the UN here in Nairobi.
Ethiopia.
A tent has been set up at the crash site for friends and relatives of the victims of the plane crash to do memorial services if they want to.
And Lesotho, telling the African story from the African perspective.
Welcome back to the big debate on popular culture and political values. I'm Ridi Tlabi. We come from a rich history of artists and musicians who have used their craft to speak truth to power. Some were banned or exiled for criticizing the apartheid regime. Even in democracy today, our artists have continued to raise their voices to talk about our unfulfilled dreams. Just listen to this.
Everybody, can't you see we're getting low? Where is brotherhood? Where is sisterhood and extended family? We gain freedom gender respect is one nation, but we're losing humanity.
So, Ringo Madlingozi, you on the EFF MP list. So, there you are talking about some of the values that are the founding principles of our constitution. You used your voice to raise awareness and to galvanize society into caring about these values. So you've just joined the system now by being a politician. Have we lost a critical voice in the critique of society?
We'll never stop being a musician and an artist. I believe that as an artist, artists should be fearless. Artists should be radical. Artists should reflect what is happening within that society at that time. And I believe right now that I'm from Guguletu. I always know myself that I was on the lowest rank of the people of Guguletu. Black, colored, Indian, and white on top. So I always had this question that why everything is very hard for me to get and to maneuver, with it. And now, when I hear the 7 cardinal pillars of the EFF, I realize that is where I got to be.
So what was it about the EFF that attracted you? Because you continue to do that societal critique.
The fearlessness and the truth that I should be singing about, and reflect and tell the people through my music what is happening. And I think that is going to help.
You found a home. Don't come singing Nyagodola later, okay? Let's hear Kanye. I mean, whether you accept the title or not, you are seen as the original Slay Queen. Her Majesty, somebody says. Supporting the ANC politically. I mean, have you found a home in the ANC, or are you just profiling whoever is the highest bidder?
I'll be honest with you, at the moment where I stand, I mean, I grew up in an ANC home. But, every single day when values are then viewed, you then realize that there are certain things that you need to revisit. The whole idea of saying I'm the ancestor or the original Slay Queen is really sad, because I come from a generation of go-getters, women that believe that they want to make it. But unfortunately, we belong to a society where those in power take advantage of that. Because they have the resources and they see the hunger in young women such as myself, they then take that and abuse it. And obviously women will then take the bait and run with it because they want to make it.
I see the men nodding here. I mean, who's doing this to young women?
Look, it's the men in power. And the men in power at the moment are those that run the castings, that run the jobs, that have the opportunities to give them mileage and visibility. And in this country, unfortunately, for the millennials, I think it's about being famous and being seen on social media, and the more numbers that you have. And if any man comes to you and says, I'll give you 50,000 Rand for you to be a part of this campaign, they'll do it, regardless of whatever it means. But if it also means sleeping with them, girls will do it, because young women want to make it. We look at the Western world and we look at these girls that drive these amazing cars before the ages of 30, and these are what African children want. But it's the people in power that are taking advantage of these girls that should be fathering them and teaching them how to do it themselves. And that's where the Slay Queen thing got lost.
Bishop Mkumlwana, how does this make you feel? How does this make you feel as a religious and moral voice in society?
Awful, but actually it is so terribly true that this is exactly what is happening. It's happening at school level to get grades. It's happening in churches where so-called pastors are preying on people, particularly women. And it is happening, our society has lost it as far as this is concerned.
Let's then hear from Ayanda Mabuli. I mean, he's a well-known artist, very well-known for his strong artworks with powerful social commentary. Some love his work, others are offended by this. During the President's State of the Nation this year, he conducted a ceremony. Let's take a look.
Umqimbi is the work of the diviners. They speak through the vessel that is an artist. And an artist come out and speak to the people, either to alarm them, either to inform them, or either to conscientize. We need to invest more in the minds of our people in spirituality and more. And I'm using art as a weapon. It's not a spoon or cutlery.
Okay, so, Ayanda, what's going on there? Why so crass? Why would you depict a president or anybody in that manner? You're thinking about it?
No.
It's done already. Why did you do that?
I'm not thinking about it. You know what, Siswam? If you look at the history of South Africa post '94, you'll find out that the country has been run by political pedophiles, which is ANC, rapists, who doesn't give a damn about anyone. And the strategies that they're using right now to gain votes, like the topic we're talking about here, comes from the fact that their father himself, Mandela himself, turned the country into a whorehouse where it's run by hoes and pimps.
You are using a metaphor now. Is this a metaphor you're using?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Some of it is direct because some of the women in the ANC don't even care about the girls right now who are at school.
I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance. Okay. Finish your point. Finish your point. I'll give the women of the ANC a chance to respond. Finish your point quickly.
Yes. I'll finish my point.
Let him finish his point. Let him finish his point. Let him finish his point so you can challenge it in its totality. Finish your point, Ayanda.
So they come out now talking about the Tumamina thing and everything, fooling people and stuff and acting as if they care about culture. Taking advantage of the fact that Utatu Hugh is gone. And now they're using a Tumamina thing. And if you look directly and straight at this Tumamina thing, it's got nothing to do with my people Tumamina. It's got everything to do with the former master Tumamina, former master, so that I can F my people more. Yes. In order for me to be,
Okay, those are... Okay, finish quickly.
Okay.
I'm going to take this microphone. You've got to get to the point.
I'm getting to the point. Because if...
Okay, I think we've got the idea. I think people have to... Okay. All right, so is that what you're doing in the ANC?
Thank you, Reggie. He's a very disrespectful man. For him to come here and say women in the ANC do not care. It's us that are in courts every day with victims of gender-based violence. It's us that speak against our own comrades. It's us that call on our own comrades.
Somebody wants to know where is Gugu Ncube. Is that who you're talking about?
It is us that got bail for Gugu. Ask Gugu, we got bail for her when she was arrested. It is us that accompanied her to the police station. It is us. You must ask her. It is us.
Okay, finish your point.
Let me respond.
You are responding quickly.
It is us that call on our own comrades, march to our own offices, to call on our own movement, to say the must take leadership. It becomes wrong.
We have to take an ad break. We'll be back in a moment.
It is worrying indeed when any publication has to close down. So it is really getting tough from the point of view of lack of sufficient readership to the issue of social media.
How influential is the media still? Twitter, Facebook are influencing people far more than mainstream newspapers nowadays.
The media has greater responsibility compared to Twitter. The media itself is governed by certain codes and it must abide by those codes.
Threatened, attacked and killed
Journalists are also being imprisoned in record numbers around the world.
If you mention and name particular journalists, you actually put them at risk.
We were media activists, and I believe we still are today. A journalist is an endangered species today.
Watch Media Monitor Sundays at 9 a.m.
The anguish, the weight and the frustration as family members of the ill-fated flight ET302 seek answers.
Otherwise, if we will not find, the person will stay missing to the rest of their life.
Watch African Perspective as we bring you exclusive stories on those affected from Kenya.
We understand in total at least 22 people died in that crash who worked for the United Nations. 6 of them worked for the UN here in Nairobi.
Ethiopia.
A tent has been set up at the crash site for friends and relatives of the victims of the plane crash to do memorial services if they want to.
And Lesotho, telling the African story from the African perspective.
Azikho izinto ezibuyisela ubudlelwane emumva njengamanga nezimfihlo.
Ungakhulumi amanga, khuluma iqiniso.
Uthi wathidla kakanye kuma Edmond and kungenxa into wena wayithethayo.
Sandile unamanga.
Wabamba rethended embhedeni. Benqunu ngixelele Edmond lanto ubungixelela la wathini kuwe.
Ungaphuthelwa umxazululi wezothando kunyanyana njalo ngolesibili ngo6 ntambama la ku SABC 1 Mzansi for sure.
I use my name first and foremost. That's all I heard, and from using the name I got a small loan of 8,000 rand.
I remember there is a time la sa zama kumfunela umsebenzi.
Well, the results are in, and this is how you voted at home. 42% of you said no, there's nobody to vote for, or you're not sure who to vote for. And 58% says yes, there is actually someone with the values to vote for in the elections. We're just getting a couple of more questions. Ajiti, you are sitting right there. What is your question or your comment?
Okay, I'm here in this country. I'm a Zimbabwean, actually. We are here because of the ZANU-PF that has continued to abuse us. We are here displaced in this country. So we came to this country, which was led by a political party that says, you know, it's a Pan-African political party. But our lives here are a living hell, especially for rape survivors. After being raped, when you go to the hospital, the first thing you're supposed to pay a specific consultation fee before they can even attend to you, no matter your emergency. So I want to know from ANC, why don't you tackle the root of the problems, which is the government back home, because you support that government, and don't make our stay here more frustrating, because you guys are the root of our problems. Be it education, you make our lives hell. Our children are not even going to school.
Okay. Because Ajiti, finish quickly your point. Quickly.
Yes. Every institution we face xenophobia in every institution.
That's
so
it.
I want to find out from all political parties that are here, because they find talking about foreigners quite sensitive. I don't know why, but
and
I
we've
want
seen that. And we've seen that. We've seen that. I think from the DA and the ANC in particular, our foreign nationals, brothers and sisters, being blamed for every ill, whether it's pressure on the hospitals or crime and so on. Hemen Mashaba has been doing that. Don't shake your head, Makashula. People know it's happening. Let's give the ANC a chance quickly, and then I'm giving you a chance. Yes.
The reason most of our African brothers come to South Africa is because South Africa is a better place to live in now because of the ANC.
Carry on, we can pick you up. Carry on. Carry on.
What differentiates the ANC is that we don't talk much, but we act a bit more. If you are talking about the issue of gender rights, for instance, we are now ranking number 9
but
in
some
the
of
entire world.
Just answer
the
question quickly. Some of your leaders have actually blamed foreign nationals for the pressure on our health systems and crime. Do you agree? What are you saying?
Look,
yes.
They are South African taxpayers who expect to get a service from government, and they pay taxes for that. And currently South Africa is not just only servicing South Africans, but it is also servicing our African
Are they
brothers.
putting pressure on our system? Is
yes,
that what you say?
because they have that.
And you, what do you say as a DA? As a DA, there's a xenophobic trend there as well.
All right, no.
Let the DA also answer. He said yes, it's clear. He said yes. He said yes. The DA, what do you say?
All right.
Are you blaming foreign nationals from our ills?
Let me answer this so that we are clear in terms of where the DA stands. You see, we don't have any problem with anyone coming from our neighboring countries coming to South Africa. This is where we have the problem. If you come to South Africa, please use the gate. We have
finish your point.
I'm going to be clear on this.
Be clear quickly. It's fine, don't worry. Your microphone
so here's
is
the
on.
thing. If you come to South Africa, we have border gates and people must use them. What we have a problem with is people who jump the fence or crawl under the fence. If you come through the gate, then we have no problem with it.
EFF, what do you say on the xenophobia question? What does the EFF say? Okay, here's the thing. I repeat this. There's no point taking a question if you're not going to let the representatives answer. Let's hear what the EFF says about a very important matter like xenophobia. EFF, quickly.
We have always said that the borders that are created within the continent are imaginary and created by colonialism to divide us as a people. And for us to, and this is a manifestation of that division. And we find that, now our African brothers have to explain themselves to come to their own continent.
Amen.
It makes no sense. And also, I just wanted to speak on the issue of women as well. It's sad that we're now sitting and asking women to explain themselves when they are the victims of
But you asked Karima Brown to show proof that she's been threatened in a country.
We have said, the president of the organization and the spokesperson, the national spokesperson, have said that anybody who abuses Karima Brown verbally or in any other way is not a member of this organization. That's what we have said. We've always been very clear about the issue of women. We are the
Isn't it your rhetoric, though? People are acting in your name, because what I saw was, explain yourself, show us those WhatsApps. In a country as violent as ours, it's not inconceivable that someone would have received threats. We've received them publicly on social media even.
No, but you can't, but there's also the question of if you're going to make an accusation, it must be proven. Otherwise, what are we acting?
Sexual violence must be proved. Okay, BLF, quickly.
No, I would like to put it on record.
Let BLF speak. Let BLF speak. I'll give you a chance to respond.
Yeah, I would like to put it on record firstly that this program has decided to ban our organization. And it's quite shameful because you belong to the state broadcaster and you have an oversaturation of EFF leaders in this particular discussion. You have Fana, you have Ringo, you have two more other people. I think it's unjust. Yourself and Gogetso. I think it's very unjust.
Let him speak. Let us speak.
The conversation does not become a debate. It becomes a conversation where people agree with each other. And you use, in particular, women in the ANC as scapegoats to hide your own crimes. There are many rape allegations that have been coming up accusing the EFF. Women within the headquarters of the EFF with proof that are being victimized by the likes of Fana and Gadi, including Julius Malema. You are not having that conversation. So the point that I'm making here is that as Black First Land First, I don't think it is just that we are going to allow this conversation to happen. It has happened for so long. This is not a debate. Even you, Reddy, we know where you stand politically. We know where you stand. You are not.
Finish your point.
Yeah, we know where you end politically. And basically, people who stand for radical ideas, you
So, let me just speak to camera for just a second. Let me just speak to camera for just a moment. I do not feel that it would be appropriate on the show to make me the subject. There are a whole lot of utterances that I will not dignify with an answer, and where I stand politically can be a subject for speculation, but I do not think that it elevates the debate here on the big debate. We've invited our audience to send us questions throughout the week. Many don't, and they come here and claim that they've been excluded. Nobody has been banned. There's a public invitation for people to come to the big debate. You can take that invitation and come through. I've never met any of the people who are asking questions. They went online and they asked the question. I hope that satisfied that inquiry. As for everything else, I don't believe I need to dignify it with an answer. Okay, let's go over there. Ma'am, you had your hand up.
Thank you. Thank you for the recognition. DA, I see you are wearing a Team 1 South Africa. Why is it that you were proposing in the Western Cape that you have the former oppressors of South Africa to come into leadership? Wow. You even called them to be the mayor of the Western Cape. How are you going to eradicate the imbalances of the past when you bring our process?
Okay, we've got the question. 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 We must go to an ad break. The GA will answer when we come back. Thank you.
Of woman abuse.
When it comes to what's hot and fresh, we've got our finger on the pulse. Get your hearts racing, your hands clapping, and your feet tapping because Live Amp in a vibe.
Everybody they come and they hear the sound, they jump. From United Kingdom, Ghana boy they conquer to Hong Kong. Get on the floor, baby, shake up your bum. Check out the song. Pull up the gun. The national music, throw out the bomb.
So come and dance and show yourself to Live Amp Fridays at 7:30 only on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure.
Come and dance.
Get the facts first.
In 1994, ek dink was ons almal was ook baie excited geweest.
For South Africa, art was never a good thing.
From a footballing point of view, there was never a separation.
Get to the truth.
There's still some serious issues in South Africa.
Maar ek dink die regering kan regtig probeer om harder te werk om
die apartheid in Sutlile ke batho ba rena ba democracy batho ba batsho e seng makgowa.
See what it all really means.
Ek is geel want dit is die kleur in die verkeerslig wat vir jou sê wees versigtig.
I still give South Africa a red.
We are somewhere in between.
We're giving our democracy a green for sure. We're very happy.
But God,
Democracy Gauge, weekdays at 5:30 on SABC News, Channel 404.
Hello again from the Big Debate live, very live in Johannesburg. We're talking about the values and the vision of our politicians and whether you believe there is someone out there to vote for in these elections. 42%, these are the numbers, of you said no or you are not sure. What has our panel learned from that and what's their message to the voters? Very quickly, let's start with you, Nomboniso.
Well, I think it's very difficult actually to make sense of what political parties really stand for and where they stand for in relation to the values of the South African Constitution. So if you just listened to the ANC person explaining...
Mr. Nzuza, okay. Finish your point quickly. Okay, I'll come back to you. Okay, we're running out of time. What have you learned from this? I'm not coming to anybody who's not taking the opportunity.
The important thing is that, we still have a
Apologize for what?
today. We can live to the values of 94 to build a one South Africa for all, wherein it will be a South Africa that is going to create opportunities, where South Africans are going to lead a dignified life, and that's the ability to provide for yourself and your dependents.
Mana?
The society we live in today is still defined by inequalities. It's defined by where you come from, men against women, black against white, rich against poor. And those are the things that we as the EFF have been saying that we need to correct. Because if you correct inequality, society stabilizes and we reach equality.
ANC.
Well, our founding basis is that of non-sexist, non-racialism, and we have acted on that. We are different from other organizations, and we are different because we act. A member, a councillor of the EFF.
I've protected you, we can hear you.
A councillor of the EFF is alleged to have raped a 4-year-old child. But the EFF is quiet about that in Mpumalanga. Yet they come here as behaviors hypocrites. Whereas as the ANC, we actually act.
Bishop, we are giving the bishop the final word. We are giving Bishop Mpumlwana the final word, and we'll deal with that serious allegation in the next chapter. Yes,
quickly, we have become such a polarized society that we don't even have a sense of common values, let alone a common South African identity. And the problem is that politicians are actually preying on those divisions instead of helping us find common values to stand on. And all of them actually are like that.
Well, we are going to talk about other themes when we continue with our program. And every day we wake up to headlines of our political leaders implicated in crimes and misdeeds, from sexual harassment and rape to corruption and acts of anger and greed. Yet they say they are ready to take South Africa forward. Are these politicians you can trust with your vote? You decide. And don't forget the elections on the 8th of May. Watch the second hour of this debate online now, or the full 2 hours on SABC 2 on Wednesday at 10 p.m. From me, Ridi Kabi, goodbye for now.